Hi, in this video I will help you set up your controller for the game Live for Speed, specifically for riding bikes. Now, I should mention I'm not a pro rider, I haven't been riding for a very long time, but I think I'm knowledgeable enough to speak about setting up your controller, at least the basics. I will help you with the baseline, and then you can continue your journey on your own, tweak it, do whatever you like. This is a baseline. Now, in game, we need to press escape and go to options. The first one is going to be in the controls. Here we need to choose our controller. In my case, it was an emulated controller for Xbox 360. Because my original PS4 controller wasn't recognized by Windows, I needed to use a program called DS4. You can currently see DS4 Windows on the screen. You need to download it on GitHub and run it each and every time you boot the game. We choose the correct controller over here. The first thing we want to do is to set up our axes. It is steering, throttle and brake, and all the other stuff. First of all, steering, we choose the needed axis, and then we click on the axis that is responsible for steering. In my case, it is X-axis, and I click either one or the name of the axis, doesn't matter. Throttle and brake combined is the case for me. It is the only axis, Z-axis. If it's combined, if it's not combined for you, if it's Z+, Z-, then you need to click on separate, and you need to set them up separately. Clutch is something I'm going to explain later, but essentially what we do with this is we choose the dead zone over here and over here. This means that our clutch will engage at 60%, and then it will top off at 90%. As you can see, there is a little bit of wiggle room left, but the clutch is essentially topped out. You can see it in the right bottom part of the screen. Invert means that we are pushing the joystick up. If it was 0, then we would need to push the joystick down. The next thing we want to set up are the buttons. We have shift up, shift down, we have handbrake, and all the other stuff which you can set up to your personal preference. The next thing is the wheel turn. Now this is the most important setting that we will change. We will not touch the wheel turn compensation, we will leave it at 0. The same for force strength, we will leave it at 0 because we do not need it. What this setting essentially means is that we are changing sensitivity of our leaning. The less degrees we use, the less sensitive the leaning is. The more degrees we have, the more sensitive the leaning is. What this means, you need to test it out by yourself. Just get into the map, drive around with both settings to extreme levels, and you will understand what it means. Essentially, the good baseline is somewhere between 200 and 300. 220, 250, 280, 300 is something that works flawlessly. You can start with 250. It is a good baseline that I am using. The next setting is the clutch, which we have to bind to axis, since we are using this axis, and brake, we need to bind it to a button, which we have bound to over here. Now, button control rate is essentially how fast the button debounces. Now, as you can see here, we are pressing the handbrake in, and it goes in really slowly. If we change this setting to 10, it will go almost instantly, which we do not want. A good value over here is between 2 and a 3. I use 2.5. We leave everything else untouched and go over to driver settings. Brake help to no, steering tile style to rigid to have more linear input, and gear shift mode to sequential. Auto clutch, we leave it at no, since we are clutching ourselves. The last setting is the analog steer smooth in the MISC section. We can set it to our liking. 0.50 is a good baseline. If we set it to 1, it will smoothen out our inputs very much. It will create a delay, which we do not want. If we have it disabled, then the steering will become very jittery and very unsmooth, which we also don't want. So a value between 0.4 to 0.6 is somewhere to start. I use 0.5. Now that we are ready to ride, I am going to show you why exactly I have bound clutch to my right joystick. So what happens and what we primarily use it for is the actual braking. So when we brake, we need to downshift most of the time. We pick up speed, for example, the third gear, and then we want to brake, right? We're braking, and sometimes it so happens under hard braking, maybe a little bit of turning, that the rear starts to slip out. This is very annoying, and for that we have bound the clutch so that we can use throttle blipping. Essentially, what throttle blipping is we press in the clutch, at the same time we rev the engine and downshift. So we press in clutch, rev the engine and downshift. With that we are matching the revs of the bike and making the rear more stable. This works on any bike, this works in any conditions, and it greatly improves your driving. This is not something you should do at the start when you just start out, but it's a very good setting to have. And that's it for the guide. The main thing about bikes in Live for Speed is patience. Patience is key. Ride safe, enjoy Live for Speed, and enjoy the lap around Kyoto. Observe the controls if you need, and have a great day.